Good morning, it's Dr. Garrett, and today I wanted to talk to you real quick about intermittent fasting, autophagy, and doing a quote-unquote cleanse. Now, when we talk about detoxing and stuff like this is a process that your liver does without us even having to think about it. However, it does need proper nutrients in order to detox effectively and to protect the liver. So let's start by talking about why fasting, why intermittent fasting, why do we need autophagy? So we have cells that grow within our body, and sometimes these cells will multiply when they shouldn't. They do things that they shouldn't do. And sometimes you just feel kind of toxic and sluggish and just kind of overwhelmed, or you feel like your body is burdened. So what we want to do is we want to kind of clean the slate and fix things and make things a little bit better. And so a lot of times what I'll recommend is doing some intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting isn't crazy, it isn't hard to do, it doesn't require any kind of trackers or anything like that. What I typically tell people is when we're doing intermittent fasting, what I want you to do is remember every day of your life you should be doing a 12-12. So first calories in are at 8 o'clock in the morning, last calories in are before 8 o'clock at night. That gives you 12 hours that you can eat within that window, and then 12 hours of nothing going in. Imagine, if you will, if you're constantly putting food down the hatch. Your body never has time to say, I want this, get rid of that. I want this, get rid of that. Instead, it just keeps coming in. It's like, I don't know what to do with all this junk. Let's just stick it in a closet and save it for a rainy day. And unfortunately, that closet is fat cell. And so we want to make sure that we're giving ample time for your body processes to get rid of stuff that it doesn't want. Now, when you're doing like a weight loss journey, or you're just wanting to do a good cleanse and try to start fresh, which is great during the spring, what I typically recommend is that you do some 16/8. So that means you're fasting within a 16-hour window and you're eating within an 8-hour window. Now, it is vitally important that you make sure that what you are putting in your body is healthy and it is fuel. So that brings us to the next step, doing some kind of juice cleanse. Now, when I talk to my patients, and I have a lot of people coming in because we're coming off a winter, people are saying, I was doing so good, but now I feel toxic. I was feeling so well, now I feel blah. I do a couple things. First thing I tell them is do a 1-day juice cleanse. Go to Nectar or Clean Juice, or make your own juice, or have it ordered to your house, and do some juicing. You're not eating anything that has fiber, any solids, and you're just doing this for 1 day. Usually what you're doing is you're starting with a juice, something like a celery and lemon juice. If you got a juicer at home, you're gonna just throw some clean celery stalks down into your juicer, squeeze some lemon or cut a lemon and put it in there to taste. And you're just gonna drink this down. This has plenty of nitric oxide in it, which is going to help reset your energy levels. The celery is really good for your liver. The lemon is good for aiding metabolism and just kind of cleaning things out. Celery juice is wonderful. If you're feeling toxic, I tell everybody, try some celery juice. It does wonders for your body. And then you're usually having a mid-morning juice, usually something like beet. Now, a few little caveats to beet. If you're kind of low on iron, you're gonna notice if you eat beets, you're gonna release more of that red color. That's because the heme couldn't attach to it. So you may notice a little bit of redness to your urine or even to your stools if you're eating beet. That is completely normal. But a good beet juice, something with like maybe beets and carrots. Usually these have a lot more vegetables, very little fruit. And then for lunch, it's usually something like a kale and celery, cucumber, apple kind of combination. And then you just kind of go on throughout the course of the day. Usually by evening, you're doing something like a soup or a broth or some bone marrow or something like that. Something just to kind of reset, give you some protein, healthy fats. And then by the next morning, you're back to normal. What this is going to do is this is going to force your body to have lots of clean nutrients, lots of clean antioxidants, and it's going to help the liver to get rid of the gunk. And this is what's going to make you feel better. Now, we're not looking for you to be in the bathroom for 24 hours or anything like that. This is more of an internal cleanse. It gives your body what it needs, helps you to feel lighter, helps you to feel better. What this does is when we're going into these kind of states, this creates autophagy. Autophagy is where your body goes in and says, all right, boys, let's clean this room up. And it'll start opening up fat cells and releasing the toxins, opening up a fat cell and releasing the toxin. And that's what we want. If you have mold exposure, this is what we're looking for. We want you to open the fat cells, release the toxin. If you have a chemical exposure, a heavy metal exposure, something like that, that's what we want. Open the fat cell, release the toxin. Now, what do we do with that toxin? Well, we do want to bind that toxin up. So the next day, after you do a good cleanse, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have plenty of nutrients on board that will grab a hold of those toxins and remove them through feces. So what do we want? We want things like celery, we want chlorella, we want cilantro, we want avocado, any kind of really heavy carbon-based food will bind to any kind of toxins and remove it through the stool. Now, there is a thing that comes along with this, and it could be a little messy for some people, and it's called a Hertzheimer reaction or a Hertz reaction. This usually happens when people are doing detoxes or cleansing or breaking an addiction, such as just sugar, dairy, or gluten. And what happens with this is after about 2 to 3 days, you're gonna notice you felt great those first couple days, but you're gonna start to notice, oh, now I have a headache. Oh, I feel kind of miserable. I feel tired. I feel sluggish. This is your body breaking those addictions and removing those toxins. During this time, it's really important that you listen to your body. You drink plenty of water because we want to be able to flush as much toxin out as we possibly can. We want those bowels to move so that you're not binding it back up, and if you have leaky guts, suppressing it back into the system. We want you to make sure you're sweating because that's another way toxins are going to come out. And a little FYI, if you're doing any kind of quote unquote detox or cleanse, you may notice you smell. You may have bad breath, bad body odor. That is completely normal as your body is getting rid of those toxins. So sweat, sweat, sweat as much as possible. And we want you to breathe. Another way that you're going to get rid of this is through cellular respiration. So we want you to breathe. So do deep breathing exercises. So my ideal day, if I wanted to do a cleanse or restart for the spring or for the summer, I would pick a day that was absolutely gorgeous. I would spend as much time outside as possible, walking in the woods. You know, if you could go barefoot, but walking in the woods. I would be drinking my clean distilled water. I would be doing my juice fast. I would be doing deep breathing. I would be reading and trying not to overdo it. Don't overstimulate yourself. I would be resting and relaxing. Then the next day, I would make sure that I started with some healthy meals. You know, like I said, lots of plants, lots of water, really refresh, rehydrate my body. And then throughout the course of the week, if I started noticing that I was feeling sluggish and tired, I would just supercharge my body with real nutrition, because this is what we need: real food, real fuel. We don't need aspartame. We don't need all of these chemical additives. We don't need all of these preservatives. We need real fuel. And that's what's gonna help you feel the best. So if you have any questions, give me a call, 812-290-2128, and I hope you have a lovely day.